There is a job title that pays six figures in most companies. It is called an automation engineer. Their entire job is to take your data and your business rules and turn them into systems that run without humans. This week, that job got a lot harder to justify. Alteryx just launched something called Agent Studio. And it does not sound revolutionary at first, but sit with it for a second, because what they actually did is remove the wall. The wall between people who understand their business and people who can build AI systems that run it automatically. That wall used to require developers. It required IT teams. It required months of setup and budget approval. Now it requires knowing your own data, which you already do. Let me explain exactly what happened. At the Alteryx Inspire 2026 conference last month, the company unveiled Agent Studio alongside a new MCP server. Agent Studio lets business analysts, not developers, take existing workflows, existing business logic, existing rules they already use to make decisions, and convert them directly into autonomous AI agents. No coding, no IT dependency, no centralized approval process. You build the agent, you deploy the agent runs. And the MCP server connects those agents to the tools people already use. Slack, Microsoft Teams, external AI models, the systems your team is already inside every day. This is not a prototype. This is not a beta feature for enterprise clients only. This launched at a conference this week, and it includes on-premises deployment options, which means businesses with data security concerns can use it too. Now here is where things get genuinely interesting. Think about what a business analyst actually does every day. They take data, they apply rules, they make decisions, they produce reports. They answer the same questions over and over again. Which product is underperforming? Which customers are at risk of leaving? Which invoices are overdue? Which schedule needs to change? Every single one of those questions has a pattern behind it, a logic that repeats, a workflow that never changes. That pattern is exactly what Agent Studio converts into an agent. So instead of you running that process manually every week, the agent runs it for you, automatically, inside tools your team already uses, without you being in the room. Most people hear something like this and immediately think it is for big companies, for corporate data teams with large budgets. And yes, Alteryx has enterprise clients. But the pattern this represents is the important thing, because this same shift is spreading across every AI platform right now. The tools that used to require developers are becoming point and click. The automations that used to cost consulting fees are becoming drag and drop. The agents that used to need months of setup are becoming weekend projects. And the people who move first, regardless of their background, will hold a skill, a real valuable income-generating skill that most of their colleagues are still waiting for someone else to build. If you're finding this useful, consider subscribing for more practical AI insights every week. So let us make this concrete. 3 types of people should be paying close attention to this right now. The first is anyone who works with data in their job. Analysts, operations managers, marketing coordinators, finance teams. If your job involves pulling numbers, applying rules, and producing outputs, Agent Studio, or tools like it, can automate that cycle, not replace your judgment. Automate the mechanical part that eats your time. The second is freelancers and consultants who build workflows for clients. This matters enormously because a freelancer who can go into a small business, understand their existing data and processes, and leave behind an AI agent that runs those processes automatically is not charging hourly anymore. They are charging for transformation. That is a completely different rate conversation. The third is small business owners who are tired of waiting for tech help. If you have a spreadsheet you use every week, a process your team follows every time, a report you build manually every month, the logic already exists. You just need a tool that can read it and run it. That tool is now available. Here's what most people get completely wrong about AI agents. They think you need to understand how AI works, technically, mathematically, architecturally. You do not. What you need to understand is your own process. What happens first, what happens next, what decision gets made when, what output matters, that is it. The AI part is handled by the platform. Your job is to describe what you already know, which is your business, your clients, your data, your rules. Agent Studio is built on that exact insight. It converts your existing trusted data sets and logic directly into deployable agents because you are not building something new from scratch. You are formalizing something you already do manually. That is a much smaller step than most people imagine. Now let us zoom out for a second. The Alteryx announcement this week is one data point in a much larger pattern. Commure just raised $70 million to deploy agentic AI across 500 healthcare organizations. Their agents are completing over 85% of administrative tasks without human intervention. Revenue cycle management, clinical documentation, scheduling, a photonic AI platform just processed medical images 246 times faster than standard GPUs using light instead of electricity in under 1 millisecond per scan. Across industries, healthcare, finance, operations, logistics, the direction is unmistakable. The bottleneck is no longer AI capability. The bottleneck is deployment, getting agents into the hands of people who understand the problems, not just engineers who understand the technology. Agent Studio is one direct answer to that bottleneck, and it will not be the last. Here's the practical question worth sitting with this week. What is one process in your work that follows the same pattern every time? Something you run on a schedule, something with clear inputs and clear outputs, something where the decision logic never really changes. That process is an agent waiting to exist. You do not need to build it today, but you need to start identifying it because the platforms that make building it easy are already here. And the gap between people who act on this now and people who wait for someone to explain it to them later is growing every single week. The reason this moment matters is not just the Alteryx announcement specifically, it is what the announcement represents. AI agents are no longer a concept reserved for research labs and Fortune 500 IT departments. They are becoming something any informed person can build with their own knowledge, in their own business. This week, the analysts who recognize this become irreplaceable inside their companies. The freelancers who recognize this build service offerings competitors cannot match. The business owners who recognize this stop depending on staff for product development background. None of it requires a big budget. It requires understanding your own work clearly enough to describe it and having access to a platform built to do the rest. That is where we are right now. The shift already happened. What you do with that is completely up to you. Chapters, 0 o'clock. Hook, 0:45. What just changed this week? 2:15. What Alteryx Agent Studio actually does, 4 o'clock. Who this is really built for 5:33 ways to use this starting today. 7:15. The bigger shift. Nobody is discussing 8:30 final thoughts.